Welcome to Mississippi State Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. I'm Andrew Miller, joined by Christian Ballard, and it's a
What's up?
Thursday, which means sorry, I cut you off already. Uh,
You're good.
it's a Thursday. That means it is time for our weekly call-in show. We've been doing this for a couple weeks now, and have had some fun with it over the past few weeks. So definitely want to get it kicked off once again. And I can't sit here and know whether or not we have anybody in the watch, not because as we've learned, the live viewers things lies to us. But I will say right off the jump here, if anyone is interested in joining in to the show, we have the link pinned to the top of the live chat. It is also pinned in the description to the video. Just click that link, join in. Make sure your camera's turned off, but we'll bring you onto the stage and let you be a part of the show and chat it up with you for a few minutes or maybe several minutes, depending on how many of you are here, just talking about Bulldog football. And there's obviously plenty still to talk about after the win against Arizona State, even though we are moving ahead. We would love to hear from each and every one of you about your experience watching State get that huge win over the Sun Devils this past weekend, whether it be that you were watching at home or we'd love to hear from people who were at the game. And what was your experience like at Davis-Wade Stadium? Did you storm the field? What was the scene like in Starkville afterwards or before the game, the atmosphere in the stadium? We'd love to hear it all. So definitely if you can join in, we'd love to have you. Just, again, off the jump, if you could, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell so you do know when we do go live, as I did not get this video ready to go until a couple hours ago, and I didn't even post about it a few minutes ago. So probably a lot of you who don't know that we're live right now because I just did not promote it out there all that well. But, yeah, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you could share it, we would certainly appreciate it. Christian, what is going on with you?
Busy day at work, busy week at work, but hey, it's always good to be on here with you, man. And we got some good college football this weekend. Obviously, as you mentioned, we'll talk the SEC. I want to keep an eye on Wake Forest and NC State tonight. I think in the ACC might, for those teams at least, I think it'd be an interesting matchup. I believe it's at NC State. I could be wrong, but I just put it on. So
It's at Wake Forest.
14-0 Wake. Yeah. Is it
You
at
know, this
Wake
is
Forest?
not a
Okay.
conference game.
What do you mean it's not a conference game? It's not going to count?
They play. This is scheduled as a non-conference game.
How does that work? I've never
So,
heard of that.
well, no,
It
it
technically
happened a few
is a
years ago.
conference, but yeah.
Wake Forest did it with North Carolina a few seasons ago, and also I know last year and I believe this year as well. I'm pretty sure tomorrow night Kansas State versus Arizona is a non-conference game because that was a series. That was one that where the series between K-State and Arizona was scheduled before all of the conference realignment stuff happened because, you know, these games get done so many years in advance. And rather
Right.
than cancel the game, they just said, we'll just play each other and it just won't count towards the conference standings. So they played last year, and I believe it's the same thing tonight. Because if you go and look at, you know, their schedules, both teams have 10 games against Big 12 competition. And, yeah, this game I'm pretty sure is non-conference because I'd imagine it was scheduled a few years back and they were still in the divisional format because
Mhm.
the ACC, Wake Forest and NC State are like in one division. Well, hold up. This doesn't make – now I am a little bit confused because they're in the same part of the conference. Let me double check and make sure this is
Yeah, because weren't they both in the opposite division of Clemson and Florida State? Weren't they
–
in
no,
the
they
what was
were
it, the
in the
Coastal
division.
and the they were in the same division. Hold on. NC State. I gotta find this out too, because now you got me curious, man.
I heard this was a non-con game.
Well, it is a rivalry game for sure. At least NC State people are saying it's a rivalry game, but I don't I don't know. Look, if you're playing a team in the ACC and you are in the ACC, and this goes for any conference, I think it should be built in as a conference game. Now, if you want to make it to where Well, I don't know, man. It's just basically what you were trying to say, though. It won't count towards a conference record, but it
I
can
thought I
count
heard this
for
was
overall.
scheduled as a non-con game. Um,
Interesting.
aren't the ACC teams still playing 8 conference games?
Last time I checked,
Oh, wait a minute.
how
Hold on,
many
hold on.
games are on their schedules?
This is a conference game, so I lied. I don't know why I heard that this
Okay.
was a non-conference game. Like
Yeah.
Wake Forest did this a few seasons ago with North Carolina. Now the reason they did that is because that was a series that had been played for several years that stopped getting played because of the divisional format. They scheduled like a one-off or a home and home with North Carolina. I thought this one was the same deal, but it doesn't make a ton of sense because they were in the same division to begin with. Yeah, I don't know. We're just randomly chatting here on a Thursday night because I don't think anybody's in the stream. Just whatever. Yeah. So NC State needs to get this one because Wake Forest kind of sucks or is supposed to. I know they're both 2-0. NC State's not been
Yeah.
great either, but it might have been the NC State Virginia is what I'm thinking of. Let me look at. I'm just going to do great podcasting. That's what it was. Okay. NC State versus Virginia last week was a non-conference game. That's what happened. That's
Oh,
why I was confused.
interesting.
And I knew it was involving NC State. It was last week when they played Virginia. That was the non-conference game because that was a case of two teams that have been in the same conference that had not played each other in a while because of the divisional format. So, yeah. NC State Virginia does not count towards the ACC standings this year. This game does. That's why I was confused.
Yeah. I got you, man.
All
Yeah.
right.
You definitely had me confused because I still like I said, if you're playing a team in your conference, it should be a conference game unless somehow you guys meet in the postseason. Because we've seen that before where they'll pit like ACC teams or sometimes the Big 12 or whatever might go head to head in a bowl game or something. But I mean, I've never heard of it being like a non-con conference type of game or whatever.
There's
It's
no
weird.
rule that says it can't happen. So
Mhm.
a few years ago, again, like it was Wake Forest, NC State that started, or Wake Forest, North Carolina started the trend.
Yeah.
They scheduled it because they were like, this is a rivalry game that has not been played in many years. So they played each other, and then NC State did the same thing with Virginia last week. The Kansas
Yeah.
State Arizona one, like I said, that was just a product of conference realignment that they had the series scheduled, and rather than trying to back out of it, they just kept it on the schedule. Um,
Yeah.
the bowl game thing hadn't happened in a long time until last year. Like, because it used to be like randomly like SEC teams. Like, I think there's a year like Ole Miss and Auburn played each other in the Gator Bowl, like in the 70s when Archie Manning was there. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
but which is just very weird. But last year we got BYU and Colorado both playing each other in the Alamo Bowl as members
Yes.
of the Big 12, which was odd. Um, I guess we can talk a little bit about Mississippi State. There's not a whole lot to discuss with the Alcorn State game, not to completely overlook the Braves, but as we do have a few people here in the chat right now, should bring up. If you want to join the show, yes, Reese, we can absolutely start. We haven't done anything yet. We were just talking
Yeah.
about Wake Forest versus NC State. So
It's completely irrelevant to the topic of conversation tonight.
there's really not a
So
topic
we
of
can get
conversation.
instead of starting over, Reese, we're gonna get started. How's that?
Yeah, but again, for those joining in, if you this is our call-in show, this is your opportunity to be a
Mhm.
part of the stream and give us your thoughts on Mississippi State. We have a link. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Link to join the stream both in the description of the video and pinned to the top of the live chat. Just click through that link, have your camera turned off, and we'll try to bring you in to let you talk. And we would love to hear. Look, we don't want to just completely brush past Alcorn State, but obviously the topic is still Mississippi State's win over Arizona State. So we'd love to hear from some of you about Your reaction. How did you feel when Mississippi State won that game? What was the scene like in Starkville for those of you who were there? Did you storm the field? We'd love to hear it all. And yeah, just talk about what your thoughts are for the Bulldogs right now. So anybody joining the show, you're more than welcome to click that link and be a part of things. But otherwise, we'll chat a little bit. We will look ahead to Alcorn State here briefly. And we did a little bit of a preview on the Monday show. We're not going to dive deep into Alcorn State. They're a team that wants to run the football, and that's kind of the only thing they can do on offense. They don't really have much else going. Defensively, they have like a good linebacker. That's kind of the story of Alcorn State football this year. And at the end of the day, an FCS team that Mississippi State should be able to handle. Mississippi State, look, if State comes out sleepy, is anyone going to be surprised? No. Even with it being a night game, the fact is getting up for this one after what you had happen last weekend, it's going to be tough. Probably not going to be anywhere close to the same type of environment in Davis-Wade Stadium either. I would say that pretty confidently. So the juice is not going to be flowing quite the same way. But again, it is a game you still have to go out, take seriously, and try to find a way to get it done. Do they have anyone on defense that can run a 4-3? I feel like the odds are maybe somebody. But if they – I would know. I guess the odds would be higher on offense because I feel like defensively, if they have anybody who's running a 4-3, he's got to be – like I don't know how tiny you could get away with. I don't know. Maybe. I feel like there's odds or there's someone on that team that can run fast. But – fast enough to stay with Brenen Thompson? Absolutely not. No chance. But look, for Alcorn State, I think kind of the bigger story here for Mississippi State is can you get through this thing healthy and, not sustain more injuries than you already have because you've taken some tough blows, as we talked about on the Monday show. But I guess another topic of conversation is this an opportunity to get some new faces in? And Christian, I think right off the bat, the best case scenario is that this is a game where if you're a Mississippi State fan, you get to see a heavy dose of both Luke Kromenhoek and Kamario Taylor at quarterback.
Yeah, and we didn't really get much into – I mean, we had mentioned on Monday that, this is going to be one of those games where you pull the starters. We didn't really get much into who we might see out there. But, yeah, like we said in the offseason, like I mentioned – before you joined the picture on the show, I had said, it's Blake Shapen's job to lose. But we have talked about numerous times about Luke Kromenhoek and Kamario Taylor and how there's not a set in stone, like, this is our backup quarterback. Now, obviously, you can't play two guys at one time. You got to put somebody out there. But I think that
there are two quarterback formations out there. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm being literal.
I mean, you can, but like only
teams are starting to do it
have
more
the
for
ball
what it's
in his
worth.
hand.
There are teams doing it more. Like that's a trend in football right now to put two quarterbacks on the field at the same time. Kansas was doing it a few years ago. I know Penn State did it back when
Alabama did it. Alabama actually did it with Tua at quarterback, and they made Hurts come in and run a play or two.
I remember that. Yes,
it was weird, man. But if you get what I'm saying, like someone's going to have control of the offense, and they only have one leader out there, man. Pretty much, because it's not going to be like, okay, you each get a football and you each get to try to throw to a receiver. That's not how this works. You got to roll the dice with somebody to get a start when, let's just play the odd game here and say the odds are Mississippi State's going to be so far ahead in this game by the time that third quarter kicks off. You might as well rest Shapen. And I don't know, man. I'll ask you, and I think we talked about this on one of our first shows together, but I mean, is there a right or wrong backup to start with? Is it Taylor? Is it Kromenhoek? Kromenhoek does have some interesting and good experience at Florida State, but Kamario Taylor has been talked about pretty well too.
Well, against Southern Miss, when they went to when they got the subs in, it was Kromenhoek who came in. Now that game, Kamario played in the first half because they had a package designed for him to get him involved as a short yardage runner, which we didn't see against Arizona State, which was a little bit surprising. But I guess the mindset there was they felt like they would play him anyway against Southern Miss. We'll take advantage of his skill set and short yardage. Arizona State, we don't have to burn his red shirt. We're not going to. Which I'll be honest. I think it would be very valuable to Mississippi State to have him as that short yardage quarterback and have that package available. Um, so, I mean, frankly, red shirt kind of be damned. I would say let's find a way to get the guy on the field, even though like this is not me doing the whole start him over Shapen. I'm still mostly a Shapen guy, I would say, but I think there's value in Kamario Taylor. I'd like to see him get involved. That said, it does seem like the number two, at least from an experience standpoint, is Kromenhoek. And I mean, that's who came in against Florida State. So I would imagine whenever the starters come out, Kromenhoek will be the first one to come in. And look, I said this on the last show. Frankly, I wouldn't mind if you were able to get up early in this game. If you don't sleepwalk and you're out there and you're up 28-0 real quick, I would like keep some of the starters in, but also let Kromenhoek go in there. Like, let him work with some of the ones instead of just having to work behind a backup offensive line, backup receivers. I'd love to see him get some experience. And the same could go for Kamario Taylor, although by that point, you're wanting all your starters out of the game. So I wouldn't mind, though, if both those quarterbacks could get some reps with the ones. But I'm certainly interested to see what either of them can do. We have not seen Kamario Taylor throw the football yet. Like, we want to see that. Kromenhoek, can he put together, have multiple series? He got like one series against Southern Miss. And I think he had one nice completion, carried it a couple times, but they didn't do anything. So I would like to see a little bit more than that. Definitely want to see what those two have to offer.
Not to compare Mississippi State's defense to the likes of Alabama or Georgia, but, when you play a small team like this, the defense could play really good typically in these types of games, and I'm sure Mississippi State probably can and probably will. I don't know, man. You think they roll the dice in this game and get some of the twos and threes out there on defense a little bit, like maybe rest the starters eventually?
Well, yeah, I think they'll be rotating bodies right away. When they went down to Hattiesburg, they rotated that entire game, even though it wasn't until the fourth quarter that it was fully like, okay, top guys out, and it was the second, third string guys fully. If you go back watch the first half of that game, I mean, like just for an example, Tanner Johnson was making big plays at safety in the first quarter. That's a guy whose name I knew the name because I had looked at the roster. That's a guy I couldn't have told you a single thing about entering the season, and I would not have even considered as playing any meaningful snaps for Mississippi State at safety. And he was out there in the first quarter against Southern Miss, and the guy made some nice plays. So, they were rotating bodies a lot in that game. They feel like they have depth defensively. I also think with the injury to Will Whitson, for specifically talking about the defensive line, they're going to want to rotate defensive linemen in with the first team because they're going to want to see who can step into that role. Can you have somebody step up and be a big time playmaker? So I think that's one of the other big things I'm looking for in this game. And look, we are rehashing some of the things we talked about in the last show, but obviously there's just not so much you can really dive into when you talk about Mississippi State versus an FCS opponent here. I want to see someone have a dominant performance as a defensive lineman. Like, obviously, if you have several guys who make a play here or there, that's cool. But I would really like to see somebody take over. Ideally, if somebody goes out and it's a 2-sack day. Someone goes out and has like 3 tackles for loss and knocks down a couple passes. Like I think having somebody show dominance on the defensive line, and again, I get it because of the opponent, you can't take too much away from that. But having somebody start making some plays, show some flashes that you can build off of going forward is going to be very important because of how big of a loss you suffered losing Will Whitson. So there is stuff you can learn defensively for sure. And I think they'll be rotating bodies early and often in this game.
I think they will too. And I also think that hold on, how would I put this? So you mentioned rotating bodies on the defensive front. You also probably want to do that a little bit in the secondary.
Oh, I mean the defense as a whole, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like there's not like Mississippi State has dudes on defense, but it's not like, they're known all around the country, and there's not just the one like guy. Like they have multiple talented guys, obviously. I mean, you talk about Isaac Smith, that's a name we've heard quite a bit the last couple years at State. But even guys like, I'll point out maybe Nick Mitchell, how many people really know him? Malik Celia, Brandon Jennings. I mean, I could go down the list. And then you talk about the defensive line with Travion Williams or Jere Bledsoe. These are guys that want to make a name for themselves, but also want to help the team as best they can. They're not selfish about it, but like you were trying to say, I'm trying to get the words out here, but I think what you were saying, you want to see in a game like this somebody step up and have a day that says, I can be that guy for Mississippi State.
Absolutely, and we do have our first person joining in. So yeah, Reese,
Yes,
let
sir.
me in, let me in. So Reese, welcome in. How's it
Can
going?
you hear me?
Yeah, we
What's
can
up,
hear you.
Reese?
I have my camera off, though. That's not a problem.
Yeah, we, we,
We
we
don't
we
care.
would prefer that. Nobody wants to see you.
Okay, good. Um, well, I was at the Arizona State game,
Yes, you
and
were. I saw the
I was
pictures. Those were
I
cool.
was on camera quite a bit, which was actually really
I
funny.
saw you once during the game. I didn't see you several
At the
times.
beginning of the fourth quarter, or
Right.
maybe it was either the beginning of the fourth quarter or coming out of the 2 minute warning, one or the other. Um, but anyway, my experience was I've been graduated for over a year now. Me and my girlfriend, we decided to sneak into the student section and got on the front row and just hung out there the whole time. And it was the section next to the band. So like
Nice.
the old student section. And when the Brenen Thompson touchdown happened, I turned around after like everything calmed down. I turned around and saw people started shuffling down the steps across the entire student section. And so I grabbed her, grabbed all of our stuff, and looked at her, and I was like, "This is happening. Like, you got to be prepared to hop over this wall and hop down," which she has a fear of heights, so that was a thing. And I looked over, and the band has their stairs that they go down. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, Andrew.
Oh yeah.
And I saw a couple students go down those steps and get stopped. And I was like, oh, dang, that would have been a good idea. But they weren't told to turn around. So me and my girlfriend, we hopped over the gate that separates the band from the students and went down those steps and we're about to get ready to go. And one of the security guys was like, "You're gonna have to hold on for 3 minutes." And I was like, okay, like I'll hold on for 3 minutes. I'll follow the rule, but no promises anyone else will. And so the game ended and people started storming. And I was like, I turned him around and I said, "Look, other people are going." And he kind of gave me that shrug and gave me a look and was like, "I don't really care what you do at this point." So I unlocked the gate, flew it open, and we took off.
Nice.
Love it. No, I've been through that gate many times. Obviously, going down for halftime, and I have thought about that. Would have been about my only option because Lord knows my legs could not have handled me trying to jump down from the student section the way they. I know you and I have talked about this, Reese. I think we have. Um, it is very obvious when State redid the stadium in 2014 and they put the student section the way they did. They had anti-field storming in mind with the way they designed that.
Yes, from what I saw, there was a lot of cuts and bruises on people, and I don't know how no one got like seriously injured. Uh, because people were climbing on top of the Gridiron Club roof and hopping down from there, as well as like the sides.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's quite the fall down if you're going to jump from there.
I mean, it's a good what, 8 foot drop,
Probably, yeah.
maybe more.
I'm glad Mississippi State at least is embracing having fun moving forward because, as we know, the previous administration did not always embrace having fun. Um, what was Starkville like afterwards? I don't know if I even you okay on our group chat you might have said something and I'll be honest I may not have just read it. Uh, what was the scene like afterwards going around town?
Well, I actually didn't go around town. We went back to
Wow,
our tailgate, celebrated there till about 12:30 is when we started cleaning up. And of course, the bars closes at 1, so there's no point in heading that way.
gotta love Starkville.
Yep.
That is, I will say, as we embrace Starkville versus everybody and embrace pushing against the narrative that the town is a bad college town, and it is a very good college town. And people who say it's not have not spent time there. Bars closing at 1:00, even including on the weekend after a
The
game like that.
state, as a former bartender in college, it's frustrating because it's less money making time. But the state of Mississippi is the only state in the entire country that has the cutoff at 1:00.
Okay, I see. I didn't know it was a state law. All right, my apologies, Starkville. In that case,
In that case,
Now, is
K
that
Reeves needs to
cutoff
step it
time?
up.
Is
Well,
that cutoff
the
time pretty
legal
early
last
then?
yes, the legal
Yeah.
last call time is 12:45. All
Oh,
tabs legally should be closed at 12:45.
wow.
That is also very Mississippi. So while I'm sitting here
Right.
saying very Starkville, that is incredibly Mississippi. We got to change that. We got to have. Look, I mean, state feels like we're getting things going fun again. I would love to know. I feel like there's no chance Oxford has not been trying to get around that for years.
Mhm.
Like you would think that place of all places.
And in my one Oxford bar adventure, I'm sure you remember that story, Andrew. The bars did close at 1:00.
Wow. We got to change that. We're going to want to lead the change to get the bars open later in Starkville. Reese, any other thoughts from you? You were the only one right now in the queue. You might be the only one on the show. So,
Hey, that's fine. I mean, like I commented the other day, now that we won that game, I had two expectations going into the year, and it was all based off the game the other night. Since we won that game, I expect us to at least win 2 SEC games.
yeah, no,
I am curious. I got a question. So you were part of so you were talking about the fans storming the field and everything. So you did go down on the field with everybody? Is that what you
Oh
were
yeah,
saying?
I was in the first wave of people that went.
How close? What was the closest player that you probably could have seen? Were you close to
Uh,
Shapen, Fluff?
I have a video of
Did you
me
get to meet
talking
everybody?
with. I didn't get to meet everyone. I didn't see Shapen. I have a video of me talking with Sadu. I have a video of me
Hmm.
talking with Brandon Jennings. I think it was
Nice.
a safety, someone who's number 29. I don't know who he was.
I
I
can
think he
look
was
it
number
up.
29. Can't remember.
29. Let's see. Jatavius Johnson, the freshman.
I guess.
Is his last name on his jersey Johnson?
I didn't look at his last name.
Oh, okay.
I just remember seeing
He's
number
a freshman.
29.
He's number 29 for us. So
But yeah, Sadu is very, very, very thick British accent, if you were curious.
yeah.
oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's from over there. So
Yeah.
I love his touchdown celebration. He does the pinky out, sipping the tea, which is fantastic. Couldn't get better than that.
Hmm.
All right. I mean, hey, look, Reese, you're more than welcome to continue chatting if you got anything else, but I'm not going to tell you have to stay in here. But yeah, any closing thoughts from you?
There is no way in hell I would ever respect someone who's picking us to lose against Tennessee in 3 weeks. And
Well,
I'll
you may
close
not
on that.
respect me. I don't know. I haven't decided on that game quite yet. I am very interested to see them this weekend. And it may not impact how they perform against Mississippi State because Georgia's a little bit of a different animal. I am so curious to see what they look like. And I will say this, and I know Tom Fornelli made this point on Cover 3 podcast today as they were making their picks.
Hmm.
Tennessee fans may be taking their victory lap on the Nico thing a bit early. When, if you recall, last year through the first 3 games, they were lighting the world on fire with Nico at quarterback. Like there was like a 73-0 win in there in one of those games. And it's kind of very funny to see two wins so far this season, and all of a sudden they're fully convinced that they're better off. And I'm not saying there won't be, but it is interesting to like how quickly they forgot how good they looked to start last season and how it meant nothing come SEC play.
Have y'all seen the stat that Tennessee hasn't scored more than 21 points against Georgia since their last win against them?
Yeah, that would check out. I haven't seen that stat, but that makes perfect sense.
Since 2016. 2016 was the Juwan Jennings play.
Yep.
They have not scored more than 21 points against Georgia. And Georgia has
haven't
consistently
even-
scored more than 40 against them.
Yeah.
Why am I
And by the
blanking
way-
on the Georgia QB's name that year?
2016
It
was
was-
Jacob Eason.
It
Jacob
was Eason.
Eason.
I knew it was. It was.
It was Eason.
He's
Yeah,
the
yeah, because
forgotten. He's like a forgotten. He was a 5-star.
Well,
Like,
remember he went to Washington because Jake Fromm took his job when he got hurt in 2017. I think that's what happened. I think he got hurt, and,
Yeah,
and
that's what
Fromm
happened.
came in as a freshman and led him to a natty appearance. But didn't he? Was there someone between him and Aaron Murray, or was it him?
There's
There's a
might have
couple
been somebody.
nobodies.
We're going
Yeah.
to talk about Georgia quarterbacks now. There was a Grayson in 2015, or was that Hudson Mason?
Hudson Mason was 2014.
Yeah, 2014 was Hudson Mason. 2015, I think his name started with a G.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
Grayson Lambert. Oh,
Grayson Lambert. That's right. That's a name.
who completed 63% of his passes for 1,959 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Lit the
That's
world
not
on fire.
bad.
That's
man.
very mediocre. That is. I mean, to be fair, they did have, that was a year rushing wise. Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, Keith Marshall, those guys, and Nick Chubb only played 6 games that year. As we're talking randomly, just talking about Georgia guys.
Wrong Bulldogs.
Oh yeah. No, that was a weird era of Georgia football. No, Jacob Eason, I was like that guy. I was sitting here like that guy's always forgotten, and then I literally forgot his name.
I don't even know if he ever got drafted because I just know he transferred out because Jake Fromm took over and he went to Washington to play for that Peterson, Chris Peterson.
I think he had a fine year. His 1 year as a starter there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mississippi State got the full Jake Fromm experience because a couple weeks after he started, State went to Athens, and on like the first play of the game, Georgia ran a flea flicker for a touchdown. I was in attendance for that game.
I was there as well.
Yeah, that was not a fun night in Athens.
That was the week after we beat LSU.
Yes, yeah. And I remember walking out of the stadium and some Georgia frat guys like yelling "Fitz for Heisman" at us, which that was great. Because we felt so good about our big beautiful boy Nick Fitzgerald the week before, and then it was not a good night against that Georgia defense. On that
That was a Dan Mullen showcase where he got scared in a big game because I remember the first play of the game was a bubble screen against clear man coverage, and it just got blown up. And from then on, we were just playing behind.
Yeah, not crazy night. All right, well, I guess we'll finish. Reese, I appreciate your time because we do have to get going to make our SEC picks, and we
kick me out.
Those. So yeah, thanks for joining in. It was fun to chat.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Reese.
All right. He left. Okay. As we're just chilling and chatting. Going back to the Alcorn thing before Reese jumped in, I mean, it's the last couple other little points. It's talked about, wanted to see backup quarterbacks, wanted to see defensive line and getting a lot of guys on defense reps, but specifically defensive linemen. I mentioned this the last time as well. Wide receiver. I want to see somebody not named Anthony Evans and Brenen Thompson make a play. I want to see, Sanfrisco McGee as a freshman. Can he get involved? Aiden Williams is a guy who had all this hype coming in. Can he finally look like a big-time player? And look, if you have 2 really good receivers, that's great. That's probably enough. But at the same time, you want someone – you need one of those other guys on the outside spots to feel like they can emerge. And I think Like last year, for as much as could be said about Mississippi State, Jordan Mosley had I didn't even mention Jordan Mosley's name. Jordan Mosley had an okay year. Like he was a threat to go deep. Kelly Akari, once he got going, was a good threat downfield. Mario Craver, obviously, was really good when State had him. So you had those options to complement Kevin Coleman. Right now, you've got Anthony Evans in the slot. Brenen Thompson's the one guy. Can you trust that the other side of the field, whoever's playing opposite of Brenen Thompson, is actually someone that the defense has to respect? They need to see somebody step up and handle that role a little bit. And look, for outside receivers in this offense, you don't have to do much. It's literally, can you win on a deep ball? Like, that's kind of the story. Can you win deep down the field? That's kind of the one thing you have to be able to do. So I'd like to see somebody emerge in that way. And I'll also be watching left tackle. Javen James, Jimothy Lewis, which one of those guys? If Jimothy plays, he didn't play last week because I think they chose to hold him out because they just didn't feel great about him going from a health standpoint. But Javen James stepped in and had a really good game. And maybe at this point he's solidifying that spot. That'd be big for them going forward. But I'm going to be watching how left tackle performs.
I will say, we talked quite a bit about this opponent, we talked quite a bit about what it would mean for Mississippi State in this game. It's really not much to talk about Alcorn State. But mentioning the receivers, Andrew, is this that game? Obviously we got guys out there like Anthony Evans and Brenen Thompson. But after that, you mentioned some of the guys that could emerge at wide receiver on the field Saturday. Is this a game to step up for somebody to emerge as maybe a third true wide receiver for Mississippi State and be that threat in case something were to happen with those other guys? Is this that game we're looking at and we're saying somebody's got to be WR3,
Yeah, I mean, look, if somebody doesn't have a good game, to me that would – if someone else does not emerge and make some big plays, that gives me some question. And look, wide receiver is a position where traditionally having one big-time guy sort of lifts the table for everybody else, and that does apply for Mississippi State. And I'll be honest, I am curious, like Evans and Thompson, what does that look like against SEC defenses? I don't know. I know this, Brenen Thompson's going to be able to get open behind – I don't care who's covering him. He's going to get open downfield. Can he be a little bit more of a player than just that? We'll see. He's showing it so far through the first couple of weeks, but obviously it's a little bit different when you're going up against some SEC teams. Although Arizona State does have a good defense, they just also gave a lot of, as I've talked about, Arizona State in that game was sort of hell bent on stopping the run, and that created a lot of opportunities for MSU in the passing game. So how does that look going forward against other competition? But yeah, man, you want to see younger skill talent or other skill talent emerge in this game beyond your top couple of guys. I mean, you can't take too much away because the opponent – and look, somebody might come out and have a massive game against them and do nothing else the rest of the season. But ultimately, if you're State, you would like to see this be a jumping off point for some new faces to emerge and show that they can play a big role.
Go
ahead.
I will say real quick, the run game would stand out to me. I know this is probably a game where you want Shapen to be comfortable throwing the football more than anything, but I mean, don't be afraid to let Fluff and those running backs, Devon Booth, Johnny Daniels, don't be afraid, man. If you want to give them the ball and let them go off, that'd be a good thing to do too. But anyways.
Oh, look, no doubt. Frankly, this is a game where you would be comfortable handing it off consistently. This is an opponent where it probably shouldn't matter what the box count looks like. Now, they're not going to just suddenly play football that way. They're still – if you give them a look to throw the football, they're going to throw the football and take whatever's the most favorable matchup on the field. But, no, this is a game you think State should be able to run the ball really, really well. Reese saying, I dare each team we play to try to let Shapen beat him with his arm. He hasn't really been hit on much around this fan base, but our Bass Pro was – I thought I said Bass Pro. Wow. Our Pass Pro was very good. Sacks only happened because of Shapen's mistakes. Yeah, no, I agree. The pass protection's been there, and Shapen has delivered downfield, but he's taken some sacks as well. So I guess, see them get the ball out quicker. That'd be something to watch for in this game. But again, you kind of all have to judge it relative to the competition that you're playing. We've said all we can really possibly say, talking about Mississippi State versus Alcorn. And again, it's not trying to just disrespect an opponent. I know that is a proud football program there, but ultimately, if Mississippi State comes out and just handles business, they're going to win this game and win very comfortably. Time to make our picks for the week across college football, mostly focusing on the SEC, but we'll have some other picks around the country as well. Which actually only a couple this week. Well, no, we have 3 this week that are non-SEC games. Checking in on the standings. Last week, not a great week for your boy. I went 5-5. Christian 7-3. We were both correct on Ole Miss. I got Missouri correct in the border war. Christian took Kansas. We were both wrong about Florida. I was right about Oklahoma. Christian took Michigan. But this is where things start to flip in Christian's favor. Also, let me did I count your wins correct?
I hope so.
You might have actually been okay. I counted them wrong. Hold on. Oh no. Yeah, no. We were both we were both wrong about Florida.
Okay,
This is where it
of
flips.
Course.
Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. I took Virginia Tech off of vibes. Vanderbilt went in there and dominated the second half. So you had Vanderbilt, so you were correct there. Duke, Illinois. Duke turned it over 5 times, which completely blew any opportunity they had of winning this game. Otherwise, they moved the ball well and were able to put points on the board. But you commit to 5 turnovers, you're not going to win a football game. So I was wrong about Duke. You had Illinois. We both took Iowa State and El Assico, so we were both correct there. Both took Baylor, but they had to squeak that one out. That one was crazy close. Boston College, Michigan State. I did not get eyeballs on this game for 1 second, but apparently it was a crazy game. 42-40, Michigan State wins in overtime. Apparently BC had some opportunities, probably should have won this thing, but they did not. So Christian, he had Michigan State. I took Boston College. And then finally, I picked Arizona State to beat Mississippi State, and Christian took MSU. So Christian, 7-3 week, 5-5 for me. Overall in the season, I am 12-8. Christian with a 3-game lead, 15-5. We'll see if I can make up some ground here this week. Yeah. We will start off in Tuscaloosa, where the Badgers take on the Crimson Tide, number 19, Alabama, coming off a 70-point shellacking of ULM. I've got to say, just real quick, I understand most Alabama fans, Christian, are not taking much away from this game. But the few Alabama accounts that are like, what are y'all going to say now? What are y'all saying now after a 7? Who's doubting Ty Simpson and Coach DeBoer now? And I know this is not you, and I know I'm only calling out a few sunshine pumpers on social media.
Right.
People not recognize it's ULM.
Exactly. I mean, I thought it was cool that he had a perfect game passing in that first half, and they put up that many points. And for a minute there, I kind of bluffed and joked. I said, "We're back, baby." But I know, again, it's ULM. I'm not taking too much. I got to see it against. I don't even know if I need to see it against Wisconsin or if we just need to wait a couple weeks for Georgia. I mean, we manhandled them in Madison last year, 42-10 or whatever the heck it was. But do I think Wisconsin is an improved team? I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched a second of Wisconsin yet this year, so I don't know what they're sitting at, but I would assume Luke Fickell's got them in an okay spot.
Not really. They're 2-0. They have not looked good. It was 17-0 win over Miami, Ohio, and it was 3-0 at halftime. Their offense was terrible. Starting quarterback got hurt in that game, so they're on their backup, and he's out. He's done for a long time, so they're on their backup. Beat Middle Tennessee 42-10 or something like that, but they were trailing early in that game. It was all second half, just putting up a bunch of points second half. Their offense is bad. Their defense, to this point, has been really good, but at the same time, it's two teams that can't score. I think Alabama's defense is going to dominate here. It's just a matter of what Bama's offense can do against the Wisconsin defense that is probably okay, but also I can't take much away against who they've played. Obviously, I'm taking Alabama. It's just a matter of the margin. I can only take away Bama struggling in this game. Any positive that happens, I can't really take anything away from.
Right.
I'm assuming you have Alabama as well.
Yeah, no, I got them big. I don't know if it'll be 42-10 or whatever it was last year. Heck, it might be worse. I don't know. I'll go if I gave a score prediction right now, top of my head here, 35-10. But I mean, Alabama could probably win this game handily and probably win it however they want to.
I agree. Game of the day. Number 6, Georgia goes up to Rocky Top, taking on number 15, Tennessee. So interested in this game, just because of how I want to see. I mentioned this a little bit earlier as we were just talking about Tennessee and brought up Georgia. What Tennessee looks like offensively in this game because of how bad their offense has been against Georgia specifically since Heupel got there. But they're doing things a little bit different this year. It is not the exact same offense that Tennessee's been running the last few years. They've changed a few things up, and I wonder if those change-ups will serve them well. Also, Tennessee defensively had high expectations entering the season, but their top 2 corners are out, and they gave up points to Syracuse, who we've seen is not very good. But then Georgia's offense has looked terrible through 2 weeks. Like they've not been able to do anything. So this is a fascinating game. I think it'll be a really fun game to watch and very informative for both teams. Who do you have?
It's literally like you just said, but Georgia, it's like, those moments where you go, on one hand, this, on the other hand, though, you have this. That's how I feel about this game. Tennessee is at home. If this were in Athens, it's a whole nother story. You're not going to beat Georgia in Athens. I don't know what it is, man. My gut is saying the Vols get the upset. And if I had to pick a score, I could see like a 31-28, 35-31, or 34-31, something in there. I think it's close. I don't know, man. I just on the road for Gunnar Stockton. I think he's a good quarterback, but I still got to see a lot from Georgia too. I love them defensively, obviously, but you know, you had the game against Syracuse if you're Tennessee, but for Georgia, it's only been Marshall and Austin P. And by the way, a game, and I didn't watch it. I don't know how this happened. So you could educate me, but to only score 28 on Austin P on paper looks bad, but I'm sure that it was one of those games where maybe they just ate up a bunch of clock or I don't know what they did, but
No, they punted a lot. I
yeah.
mean, they were not very good offensively. It was not a clean showing. Shout out to Austin P, quarterback Chris Parson, the last quarterback ever committed to Mike Leach here at Mississippi State. I'm taking Georgia for the simple reason that I have got to see Tennessee win this game before I predict them to win it.
Yeah.
Everything I've said with Tennessee offensively, like, yes, it is different this year, but again, I've got to see it against the Georgia defense. And as much as Georgia's offense has not looked good, I will say Kirby's teams have a tendency to kind of like they were punting a lot. I'm not sitting here telling you that their offense was fine. It wasn't. But Kirby's teams also have a tendency to kind of just go through the motions a little bit when they're playing lesser teams. They kind of mail it in at times. And I feel like they've probably not I feel like they've looked at the first 2 weeks and said, none of this matters until we get to Knoxville. So I think we probably get a little bit of a different looking Georgia offense. We'll take the Bulldogs and all the quarterbacks that we were talking about earlier from Georgia history. Really fun game up in Oxford. Arkansas at number 17, Ole Miss. Apparently there's some questions about whether or not why am I blanking on his name? Austin Simmons is going to play. He's listed as probable on the report, but apparently some people around town, I'm going off of what I heard on the Cover 3 pod today when their dentist source, who is like an Ole Miss guy who they'll bring on every now and then. They'll take his picks on their pick day, is wondering if Simmons is going to play. I don't know. That would definitely change things a little bit. I mean, or a lot of bit. But two potentially high-powered offenses, two defenses we got some questions about because Ole Miss did give up a lot of rushing yards to Kentucky. This could be a really fun game.
Yeah, I almost don't know who to pick in this game. I will say that it is at home. It is, for the Rebels in Oxford. Vaught Hemingway Stadium. It's going to be a night game. Um, I will say I do like the improved, or at least I think they're improved, from what we've seen. But with Taylor Green and company for Arkansas, their offenses look pretty good. All time, uh, I did not know this. I had to go and look it up, but Arkansas actually leads the series 37-31 and 1 and has lost the last two. And this is a pretty huge game in the SEC West, SEC as a whole. I'm gonna go Arkansas. I'm gonna go upset here. This will be my upset pick in the SEC.
Yeah, look, this one could go either way. I'm taking Ole Miss just because they're at home, and I think Ole Miss defensively, they have questions, but they still have a few dudes, whereas I don't think that Arkansas has dudes on defense. And I will still trust a Kiffin offense to score plenty of points at home. I will say if Simmons doesn't play, that does change things a lot, at which point I would take Arkansas, but for the purposes of this show, I will pick Ole Miss to get the win. I think playing at home, I think they've got the better defense. But I do think how they handle Taylor Green is going to be a big deal. Taylor Green has looked good here through 2 weeks. Florida goes to number 3 LSU. The Gators, this would be insane if after what happened a week ago they go into Death Valley and get the win. But this is a big rivalry, and we've seen Florida sometimes be able to respond and get up for this game. They still have players. I don't think they're going to quit. Who do you take?
I'm not trusting Sunbelt Billy, man. I can't do it. I'm gonna take LSU. I think they're on a roll. That Clemson game was close, but to go on the road and get that win, that was pretty good. Uh, Interesting win though last week. Not sure. I didn't watch it, but 23-7 over Louisiana Tech. Not a bad program, not a bad team, but
Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off. Bad program,
okay.
bad team. The La Tech is historically fine. They are bad right now. No, it was an ugly win for LSU. Their offense was not performing well.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I should have just stopped when you said it was against Florida and just said I don't trust Billy Napier. So give me LSU anyway.
No,
I don't trust Sunbelt Billy, man.
That's fair. Look, I mean, I'm taking the Tigers. LSU's defense is legitimately improved. That secondary is very good. They've got some good players up front. And Florida offensively, I mean, I know there's all the hype around DJ Lagway, but until he shows it, like I don't trust him, like shows it consistently, I'm not going to trust him to go on the road against a good defense and make enough plays. And I do worry about LSU's pass protection against Florida, who does have some guys up front. But I think ultimately, like Nussmeier did not have a good game against La Tech. I'm still a Nussmeier guy. And if there's a guy I'm going to trust to make enough plays to find a way to get a win in a big moment, I am going to go with him. Especially after what we saw happen at Clemson. So, yeah, I will take LSU to get it done. But I do think it'll be a competitive game. Number 18, Texas A&M travels up to South Bend to take on number 8, Notre Dame. Notre Dame did not play last week, so they have their one game on the belt against Miami. A&M, a couple games against lesser competition. Defense has looked a little bit suspect, but the offense has been putting a lot of points on the board. Which way do you go?
Yeah, this is interesting having a bye week for Notre Dame. Only the loss to Miami. Not a bad loss. A close one here. Then you got A&M who, I mean, defensively has not impressed me. Offensively, though, I think Marcel Reed's a pretty good quarterback. You have Mario Craver, the lead receiver for Texas A&M at 236 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns already. So I love their offense. I like some of the players on defense, but I think as a unit, it's struggled. Games in South Bend, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see A&M go in there and get a road win. I think it'd be cool to see, but my gut says Notre Dame's defense comes through. I'm going the Irish.
I would not love A&M to go in there and get a win because I don't like them. Also, There's not a single SEC team that I'm in a game like this, and I'm like, good for them. But I'm picking A&M to win.
Okay.
No, even though I don't want them to, I'm going to pick them. The defense, I'll admit, is concerning, and going on the road, that does become a little bit of an issue. But Notre Dame offensively, I'm just not blown away with yet. I get they have Jeremiah Love at running back and everything that they can do there, but I also think A&M's got a couple guys in their defensive front who could step up and have big games. I don't really trust CJ Carr yet at quarterback for the Irish. And the Notre Dame defense is not as dominant as it was before. And I think we can see Texas A&M go in and run the football well against them, and obviously the play action opportunities to Craver and Concepcion. I think this is going to be a more high-scoring game than we're used to for a Notre Dame home game. Typically, Notre Dame, it feels like a lot of low-scoring games. I think there's going to be points put on the board here, but I'll take the Aggies to go on the road and pull off the upset.
Gotcha.
Really fun game in the SEC. Vanderbilt against number 11 South Carolina. Pavia versus Lenora Sellers. I haven't made a pick yet because I'm still going back and forth on this.
Can I ask you real quick? Well, before
Sure.
I make my pick, would you agree with me if I said this could turn into a quarterback duel between Sellers and Pavia, and that it could end up being like a 40 burger for each team? I mean, doesn't it just get that feel that it's just going to be an offensive game, like all the way around? Like, do you really trust? Like, I mean, I think like you have some guys like Dylan Stewart or whoever for South Carolina. Like, I get they got some guys. There's really not much defensively for Vandy, but even still, like, well, you shake your head. Who you got, man? Like, is there some defense you like on Vanderbilt?
Vandy's defense is pretty solid. I mean,
Yeah.
they got after Virginia Tech. And I know
They
Virginia
did.
Tech's not impressive, but they went on the road and did that, and we saw South Carolina did not. I mean, I know South Carolina beat them, but neutral site, that was a much closer game. And I like Vanderbilt defensively, they've got some guys in the defensive front. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points here because South Carolina's offensive line is cheese. Like, their O-line is bad. And Sellers, for as talented as he is and for as much of a playmaker as he is, and yes, sometimes we see the incredible Superman plays where he literally breaks 5 tackles and turns what should have been a 30-yard loss into a 30-yard gain. Yes, Lenore Sellers does that better than almost anybody in college football. He also does it like 1% of the time because a lot of the time when he gets under pressure, he takes a sack or he turns the football over. Like he has some issues there. And on the other side, I mean, look, South Carolina defensively, I still think it's pretty solid. I don't think they're dominant. And going up against the Vandy offense, that's a tough scheme to deal with. But actually, South Carolina handled it last year, held them to 7 points. So, like, I think both defenses could have a lot of success here, which, to be fair, to your original point, could lend itself to being which quarterback makes enough plays to get it done. I want to hear your pick first. I have to think more.
My brain's hurting just thinking about this game. Give me. All right. I might regret this. I'm going to roll with the Gamecocks and Lenore Sellers. I think they get it done at home. I think it'd be a really good game to watch. Give me South Carolina. And I'll be honest, I like Diego Pavia. I think he's great. I think what he's doing at Vandy and how he's turned that program around, what Clark Lee's doing as the head coach, it's great. They're not going to be this team that just keeps winning and winning and winning all year long, I don't think. But I'm going to go with the home crowd with Williams-Brice rocking and go with South Carolina.
So this is a little bit of a strategy play on my part. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit because I let you pick first, but it's also me. I am considering was going this way to begin with. So last night I was on SEC Primetime Live, which go check out SEC Voice College Football. A lot of great stuff going on there, and I'm mostly going to be a part of the shows on Wednesdays going forward. We'll see. It just depends on how things work out with Josh and Blake, but had a ton of fun. And we were talking about this game, and I picked Vanderbilt based off of the fact that everything I've seen to this point this season tells me Vanderbilt is a better football team than South Carolina. Like, I do not believe in the Gamecocks. I do not think they are that good of a team. But there is the voice inside my head that is like, this game's in Columbia, and it's Vanderbilt. Are you really just putting your faith in Vanderbilt? Like, South Carolina could also just pop. Like last year, I remember last year, I specifically thought South Carolina would lose to Vanderbilt because it was the week after that they beat Texas A&M. Right. It was like South Carolina the week after playing A&M had to go on the road to Nashville, and I'm like South Carolina. I predicted it a couple weeks before because I said South Carolina is going to do the most South Carolina thing ever, which is that they're going to beat Texas A&M to get their fans excited, and then the next week they're going to go up to Nashville and lose to Vanderbilt. And to South Carolina's credit, they beat the brakes off of A&M, and then they went and beat the brakes off of Vanderbilt. So they've seen this offense in Diego Pavia. They've shown they can contain Diego Pavia. Not as good of a South Carolina defense this year, but still pretty good. They're playing at home. I think I'm not a Lenore Sellers guy. I think he's fun, and I don't trust that South Carolina offense. Again, my eyes tell me Vanderbilt. I'm flipping my pick from what I did the other night, though, on SEC Primetime Live. I am taking the Gamecocks at home. Also, the fact that we already have 3 differing picks, and I'm like 5 games behind you in the standings already. No, I'm 3 games behind you in the standings. I don't want to put myself in a bigger hole here. So that's part of why I'm taking South Carolina. Number 12, Clemson at Georgia Tech, getting away from the SEC here. A lot of talk. Georgia Tech could get a bit ripe for an upset. Clemson's not at all been impressive. Georgia Tech, the fighting Haynes Kings, although he may not play. I don't know the deal there. But Brent Key and the run the ball team, Clemson looks terrible.
Yeah.
Are the Tigers going to go down?
Yes. Yes, they are. I got Georgia Tech here. This will be a fun game, though. I think Clemson could give it competition. I do like Klubnik. I might take back my preseason talk about him being a Heisman candidate. I mean, let me say this.
He's played himself out of it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 weeks
and
in,
that offense,
to say, but
that offense around him is not helping, too. So
they've got receivers.
Yeah, I'm taking back what I said.
So you're going with Georgia Tech in the upset.
Okay. I am. Shout out to my Georgia Tech buddies on YouTube, Sea-Dog and Rec Talk. This one's for you, baby. Let's go. Yellow Jackets, Ramblin' Wreck.
I'm taking Clemson. Everyone and their mother thinks Georgia Tech is winning this football game because
this is true.
No.
Watch it, man. Watch it.
Here's why everybody thinks Georgia Tech's winning this game. Clemson has not looked good. Everybody remembers Georgia Tech beating Miami and giving Georgia a scare last year. Everybody remembers their coach saying, run the ball after beating Florida State, and that everybody fell in love with Georgia Tech. Clemson's a team everyone loves to hate because Dabo is a dork, and he is. And people loved it. Like he is such a big dork. Him running full speed down the hill in front of his team is the lamest thing on the planet. But everyone hates on Clemson, and everyone is just – I think people are picking Georgia Tech here because they see it makes sense to them, and they also want Clemson to lose. And for that reason, I'm picking Clemson. For that exact reason, I think Clemson is just going to come out and win this football game. And ultimately, they do have better athletes than Georgia Tech. I know they have better athletes than Troy as well, but I think last week was probably kind of just a game they were getting through. I'm not saying Georgia Tech won't be competitive, but I think Clemson just gets the win and sort of quiets a lot of the noise here. No one thought this would be a ranked matchup entering the season, but it is one of the only one of 3 ranked matchups on the day. Number 18, South Florida, come fresh off their win in Gainesville, now travels down to South Beach to take on the 5th-ranked Miami Hurricanes. Byron Brown in that USF offense. A USF defense also that's been making a lot of plays against Carson Beck and Miami with, again, a really good defense for the Canes as well. Who you got?
I think Carson Beck's looked pretty good so far. Byron Brown's throwing the ball pretty well too. Interesting fact, stat fact here. 473 passing yards on the season for Byron Brown and the Bulls. 472. He's got him beat by a yard. Carson Beck. That's pretty close, man. When you look at the yardage that these quarterbacks have put up through 2 games. So Miami had the big win a couple weeks ago over Notre Dame. I would love to sit here and hype up South Florida because they're like 20, 30 minutes away from me where I live, and I love the teams down here. I can't hype them up all that much and be a homer. I think Miami's just I don't want to say they're going to come in and easily win this game, but I do think it could be competitive. But I don't think USF should get too big for their britches just because they beat an SEC team like Florida. I think Florida is not what you think they are this year. Napier is out of there before season's end, if not right after. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great win for USF, but at the same time, it's not like it's a big turning point. Give me Miami.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Canes. I think this is a game where, frankly, the fact that Florida lost helps out Miami a lot here because there's not going to be any sort of overlook factor. Like, they're going to take this game as seriously as they can. I think Miami's defense is just going to be too much for USF to be able to deal with. And I think Carson Beck can make South Florida pay a little bit more than DJ Lagway ultimately was able to. So, yeah, I'll take Miami. But South Florida, look, path is still perfectly clear to the playoff. They can get blown out in this game. And if they handle business in the American, they are going to go to the playoff after what they did the first 2 weeks of the season. And you look at the rest of the schedule, man, it gets really favorable for them the rest of the way. But we'll both take the Canes.
They might even be I will take the Canes in this game. Like I said, I am loving South Florida for my G5 pick this year. I think they could do it, man. They got a interesting schedule with Memphis on the road, Navy on the road, UAB. But I mean, I'm not going to say much about UAB. I was almost went to school there after the school I'm currently at, but yeah, Trent Dilfer ain't doing too much there, buddy.
That is one of the dumbest coaching hires that has ever been made.
Oh my gosh,
and they are suffering for it, and ultimately they deserve it. Not that I have anything against the people, the passionate UAB fans that do exist, like the 5 of them that are out there. I do feel bad for them. But for the university, it was a stupid hire, and you're getting the results of that. Backyard brawl, Pitt against West Virginia. Heated rivalry. We get Rich Rod back in this rivalry for the first time in so many years. West Virginia obviously did not have a good showing this past week on the road at Ohio, losing that game. Pitt has been lighting the world on fire offensively the first couple of weeks, but they have also been playing some really bad teams. Who gets it done in Morgantown?
I'm going to go with the slight upset here. I say slight because it is a big rivalry. And the spread's 7.5, but I'm going to take West Virginia here at home. I think they're coming off that tough loss, and maybe it did expose them. I get it. But at the same time, I think for Pitt, putting up 61 on Duquesne, that's good. Great. Congratulations. 45-17 against Central Michigan. Great. Congratulations. This is their first test, too. I don't think they're a great team. I think I will say they're mediocre, and I hate to say that because in the Ballard sports media community, we got some good West Virginia fans, if you know who you are. I love you guys. I'm picking them for you, but also I'm picking them because of the home team, and I think they can bounce back from a tough loss last week. I also don't think Pitt's all that much. I really don't. I don't think West Virginia is either, but I mean, somebody's got to win.
That's totally fair. I'm not buying into what Pitt did the first 2 weeks as like a sign of a great team. I mean, opponents better. I could definitely see West Virginia getting this one. I could definitely see Rich Rod the fact he knows this rivalry and knows how important it is. I could definitely see him stepping up and trying to get people back. And it's not that he's out of good graces after losing to Ohio, but that definitely was a tough blow for them, where I'm sure there was a lot of buzz. Oh, Rich Rod coming in, we're going to have a big breakthrough season, going to be back to the good old days, and it's just not going to be the case. I can see it, but I guess I'm going to lean with Pitt just because I think they're probably still the better team. And I will also say this is a little bit more gamesmanship here. Well, even though last time I went with you, I feel like this is a chance to get one back against you. So I'm going to take Pitt. But like I do think Pitt is the team that probably wins here.
Yes,
should
sir.
win. And finally,
win, yes.
Yeah, should. No,
again,
and look, crazy things happen in that rivalry. Shout out to 13-9. West Virginia fans definitely know that the better team does not always win that game. Right. Finally, the one game that should not be on the picks, but it is because it's Mississippi State. Alcorn taking on the Bulldogs. Look, we're both going to take Mississippi State to get the win. The only question is the margin. Christian, what do you think the final score is going to be here?
I'll be generous. I don't like to predict shutouts, so I go the minimum here is 3. I'll give Alcorn 3 points. Maybe they get in field goal range on that first drive and kick the 3. That's fine. Mississippi State should run away with this game, man. I think we've looked pretty good this season. I'll give us about, let's say 48 points, maybe more. Maybe that's being generous to Alcorn's defense. I don't know, but I'm going to say 48-3. I almost want to put 50-something. I really want to, but I also – is that crazy to think that Mississippi State could do that this weekend?
No, not at all.
It's not crazy? Okay, fine. Give me 55-3. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I actually was a little bit tempted to go with a score similar to what you first said because I could see the hangover effect. Maybe State's offense not clicking fully early. But at the same time, man, I just think I do not see a way they are going to have anybody that can stay with State's receivers downfield. Like, State might just be able to throw a few, like, deep shot after deep shot in this game, genuinely. And I will also say, last year against Eastern Kentucky, a better FCS team, Mississippi State put 56 on the board. Now, they had a special team. They had a kick return or interception touchdown. Might have also had a blocked punt touchdown in that game, if I'm trying to remember correctly. So it wasn't all the offense, but State, I think, gets it done. And I also think the defense will have a good game. I will take 51-6 as my final score here. I think State blows them out, and it's not really even a question.
All right.
That'll do it for tonight's show. Obviously, not much to talk about. This is kind of just a hangout more than anything else. Thanks to Reese for joining in for the chat. Look, we do want to continue growing this thing. We would love to be able to hear from more of you going forward. I will try to do a better job of spreading the word, but also get sometimes people got stuff going on. There's football on Thursday nights. We might talk. We might talk around and see if we need to change to a different night of the week, see if that's a little bit better for us moving forward. We'll figure it out to continue keeping this thing going. But appreciate everyone who did join in and tune into the show. We will be back on, or at least I will be back. I don't know about Christian, but I will be back post-game to recap whatever happened against Alcorn. And I will say that recap should be up. The live show should be pretty soon after kickoff. I'm assuming, and we know what we say about assumptions, but I won't say it here on the show. But I'm assuming that I will be able to have my post-game stuff written pretty quickly for Alcorn State. And I'm knock on wood here that my coverage for that from Maroon and White Nation will be able to get done pretty quick. So we'll probably be able to go live very quickly after the end of that game, and it'll get to turn into a little bit of a watch-along because there's going to be some fun football games happening that evening at the same time that State's going to be wrapping up against Alcorn State. So, we'll have a post-game show, recap whatever happens against Alcorn, and, again, they'll probably turn into a bit more of a watch party for some other college football games, depending on what happens against Alcorn. We'll see. And then we'll be back again next Monday as we look ahead to Northern Illinois week and we'll give our final thoughts on the weekend as well. Again, thanks to everybody for joining in. If you haven't already, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell so you do know when we do go live. Share us, spread the word. We want to continue growing this thing. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks Christian for hopping on. As always, swing your sword. Hail State.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.